because it is happening. It's like, let's have the conversation about it because everybody else is having a conversation about it and we're not. So,
And who was the lady?
Dr. Nadine Barkeris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was her TED Talk that opened my eyes up to ACEs. Like, I knew about it, but it was when she broke it down through her TED, it woke me up. She was the Surgeon General for California, and she just quit, like, resigned about a year and a half or so ago. So,
okay, never mind. I'm thinking about somebody else. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that the book is not, it's current. You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about it. It's time to talk about it because these things are happening instead of,
how. No, seriously.
Yeah, it's time. It really is time. So.
And I wonder how that ACEs plays into like our morality, like the decisions we make.
It plays a huge,
and like our empathy.
But even with, I will say this, I think for me, me understanding ACEs, I grew up and had issues with my parents because of things that happened. Their generational trauma had an effect on me. I knowingly became a cycle breaker. However, knowing what I know now about their generational trauma and the things that they're experienced, I have a lot of empathy for them now. Growing up, I didn't. And so I'm working on my relationships with my parents because of that. Like, if I knew about ACEs when I was younger, I probably would have a different respect for my parents, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Because because our parents be tripping, I remember my mom used to, she used to always get me with the late night talks, and she used to always tell me, like, if I die, Calvin, I want you to know. And like, I used to be so traumatized, like every time she used to say that, because like one of my like things as a kid was like, I have an older mom. My mom had me when she was 45. And so I always had a phobia of like losing my mom as like at like an early age. Cause I thought, you know what I'm saying? Just as a kid, she's older. You know what I'm saying? That was always a fear of mine. And so like fast forward, like I'm like 17, about to graduate, about to get out the house, she's giving me all this like, I don't know what it was. And it was very traumatizing, but I was so nice and so gentle with her. It wasn't until I became a man, that's when like a lot of that, I guess my mother's trauma really, started to get to me.
Yeah. So, but that understanding is what we need to discuss, because I think if there were more people that understood ACEs, and it's scientific, it is, people don't know it yet. It's linked to your body. It's linked to your mind. It's linked to so much. And I think once people get that and understand that, then healing and all that stuff can actually begin. Like, I had a huge issue with my mom. Some things happened to her. Yeah. And growing up, I was like, well, why you just open up your mouth and say something? You know what I mean? Like, it just made me look at her different. But, now I get it. She wasn't going to say anything. How could she? You know what I mean? So it's like, it'll really help clarify a lot of people just understand exactly what it is and how much of an impact that it has on us. Generational trauma is real too.
So let's go ahead and introduce the podcast. Welcome. I got Dr. Williams with me, Dr. Torrey, Dr. ACES, unapologetically, what's that say?
Unapologetically classy.
Dr. Mr. Unapologetically Classy, with yours truly, Mr. Mosley, Mr. BMK, Mr. Neelam. That's what my kids be calling me. Mr. Neelam. They be like, Mr. Nelson. I'm like, that's Miss Nelson across the street. Like, what are you talking about? How you doing today? What's up?
No complaints. It is International Women's Day.
Yep, it sure is. It sure is. It sure is. And I just put a very controversial white guy on the screen while you said that. So let me cross back again. Why is You said International Women's Month. What'd you say? I'm
National
so
Women's
ignorant. I'm so ignorant.
Day. Always.
Wait, say that again. Your audio cut off.
International Women's Day. You
It's
been to school all day. You didn't tell any of the women.
Of course
Women.
I did. Of course I did. And this goes into like my Black history. I celebrate Black history every single day. So if I'm
Right.
not tripping about Black history on February, don't come at me. So I celebrate women all year. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm gonna let you have it at that.
Thank you so much. And so we are talking about embracing our dark side, I think, because Robert Greene, which is a very intellectual Caucasian brother man who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. Are you familiar with that book?
Mm-mm.
Good. You don't need to watch it or read it. But it was a very popular book when I was in college, because it's like, you ever heard of Art of War?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like it's like a modern art of war, and it gives you tactics and teaches you politics. It teaches you how to navigate a room full of vultures in a way where, you can come off powerful. But, fast forward, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything and I'm listening to you.
And fast forward, he kind of talks about, when he wrote the book, he was very angry because he had a lot of anger issues growing up, and he worked in a corporate environment. The corporate environment is very political. It's very, how would you describe it? Political, right? And he just was always angry that he had to do that. So he wrote a book from that experience, and he talked about that. And what I'm trying to get to is just, today, someone was asking me like, are you doing shadow work? Have you ever heard of that before? So let's watch the video. Yeah. So let's watch the video, and I just want you to see if this kind of correlates to what she was talking about with ACES.
Okay.